I'm Dan Rogers. Today we are here with Lief Kertis, who's running for City Council, Place 4 here in Amarillo. Lief, welcome.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Let's tell the voters a little bit about who you are and why you decided to run for City Council.
Yeah, perfect. My name's Lief Kertis, originally from Allen, Texas. I've been here in the Amarillo area since 2008. Came up to go to WT after spent a little bit of time at A&M Commerce working out on the family farm. Decided to come up here. My best friend came up here, came to visit, fell in love with the area, and decided to stay. Got my undergrad in criminal justice administration after switching from animal nutrition, and then went out into the world. Came back to WT, got my master's of business administration, just in general business. Also have a finance and economics master's as well. Currently pursuing an MA in Christian studies from Denver Seminary. Say it loud and proud every day that the Lord is my Savior. I'll yell it from the highest mountain in the lowest valley. So hoping that degree will bring me a whole lot within the philanthropy that I hope to do in future and what I do right now. I've got my 10-year-old daughter, Bailey. I have 50-50 custody with her. My ex-wife is here in the area. So have that family element. My family's still in Allen. I currently own 3 businesses here in Amarillo. I've also built and sold another business back in 2023. Previous experiences in corporate finance, personal wealth management, retail management. My largest budget that I've been personally responsible for is $250 million for a $2.3 billion company. So that's kind of where I'm really running on that platform of that fiscal responsibility, knowing what I'm doing in that aspect, but also having a servant's heart and wanting to make this city a better place, not only for us, but for when we hand it off to our children and our grandchildren, that they have a place that they can work, stay, play, raise their families. Selfishly, I want to keep my daughter here as close as I can versus her having to pursue opportunities elsewhere. I'm just, I've said it to a few of the places that we've gone, firefighters and police, that I'm tired of playing catch up. I want Amarillo to be what I know it can be because of the people that are here. And that's an industry leader. People should be looking at us when it comes to what is Amarillo doing right? What can we do to mirror them to run our city? So that's a big reason why I'm wanting to run, is for those things right there.
So what businesses do you have here?
So I have Kertis Sports and Entertainment Group. So we do concert promotions, and we owned an arena football team in Odessa. We're currently negotiating to get the arena football team here in Amarillo. That's my oldest company. That's the first one we started. I also have Impact Business and Coaching and Consulting, where right now I just really work with nonprofits. So my main one that I work with is the Borger Chamber of Commerce, working with them and their board on how to efficiently operate their city and how to efficiently operate that Chamber of Commerce to help bring businesses to Borger, but also to help support the business that they already have there. And the other one that I have is West Texas Flooring. We own Floor Coverings International as a franchise, but we also do home remodels, renovations, so kitchen, bath, flooring, almost anything and everything under the sun except HVAC and plumbing. We don't want to deal with those things. Electrical too. I don't want to deal with electrical.
So y'all sub all that stuff out, or do you just do the flooring?
No, we sub. We have our whole group of contractors that we work with. They're W-9, so that way when we're slow, they can go get jobs elsewhere. But so like during winter months, they can sub for other people as well. But for the most part, we have our core group of installers that we work with. But we just keep them W-9, so that way they can go get work whenever it's slow, and they're not just waiting on us.
So they're independent contractors.
Yes,
for you.
Yes, sir.
But they can work for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to, when the construction industry is slow, I don't want to limit their ability to earn money. So if they can get a few jobs here and there during the winter months, then that keeps them happy. But then they come back to us when we're picking up.
Sure. So what's the main 2 or 3 things you think the city council's doing that you would do different?
That I'd do different. Well, first, I always want to give people their credit when credit's due. I think that the city council has done a phenomenal job in comparison to our other city councils for the past almost decade. Where I would do things differently, I believe they're still in catch-up mode. And unfortunately, they got kind of put into that mindset because they came into a flooded city. They came into infrastructure woes and everything else, red lights flashing. So they've had to be in catch-up mode for the past 2 years. But what I hear from a lot of them is that they're going to continue to do a lot of the same, right? That's not strategic vision, in my opinion. So they need to have some sort of strategic outward vision of how are we going to bring industry here? How are we going to do public safety? Like, how are we going to make this a city where people want to come to instead of always having to play catch up, looking at Lubbock and having to say, well, we're having to keep our firefighters and our police officers from going to Lubbock. So what can we do to match them versus getting out in front of it and allowing our firefighters and police officers to be well taken care of, but also allow the leadership to do something different other than having to come to the table every single year just to try to fight for a raise, just to get up to industry standard. The next, the AEDC issue, I think most of the board has handled it well. A little bit disappointed in my opponent's stance on it. It seemed like there was a lot of, we don't need to be doing this, like trying to deviate from what's happening over there, where the rest of the board of the council was ready to go in and look at things. My opponent didn't seem to really be too interested in doing that. He looked like he was more worried about preserving feelings versus finding truth. So the AEDC needs to be completely rehauled. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. And having been in mergers and acquisitions in corporate finance, I know what working with AEDCs looks like. I know the questions that these companies are going to be asking and what we need to be doing. When we first would go into a town looking to either merge with a company or acquire somebody, I'm having to ask the question, what does public safety look like? That's the first thing any of my people wanted to know. Can I move there? Is it a safe place to, are the police going to respond if something goes wrong, or firefighters going to show up? It's not, is there a hospital that can deal with a rare disease that someone may have? Infrastructure, yes, those are questions down the line. Of course, they want to know that their toilets are going to flush and things of that nature, and infrastructure is important. And that brings me to my third one is the infrastructure. We need to start planning for the growth that we expect. Port to Plains is coming, and it's going to be here a lot sooner than we think. And again, this goes back to the catch-up aspect of it. We need to plan for future growth versus spending money and then realizing once we finish it that we didn't expand enough. And that comes with thinking outside the box. I don't want to raise taxes to our tax base. What I want to do is I want to responsibly grow our tax base, bring more people to Amarillo's to where the normal people who are here aren't having to have those conversations of how do we, keep our taxes low, because we're bringing in X amount of people a year to where we don't need to look at the rates and raising those. MUDs, I'm on board with Mayor Cole Stanley about MUDs, municipal utility districts. Those are great assets to a city. The one reason that, Sugarland, Frisco, Plano, all those places stay affluent, yes, they have a metroplex to go off of, but they've smartly done things with their land to annex it, to have somebody else come in, foot the bill for it, and then annex it and get the rewards off of it. Just thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and I think another big driver to growth is schools.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the problem that Amarillo has is people are moving outside the city limits to be in a different school district.
Right.
And I don't think people understand how important good schools are.
Yeah.
So we've got to do something about that.
Absolutely.
Potter County especially.
Right.
So it's a big issue.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people ask the question, do we really need AEDCs or EDCs?
I think that's a fair question to ask.
We operated hundreds of years without them.
Right.
And the city grew pretty well.
I think we do, right? But I think that the way it was currently ran, no, we don't need if it's going to be like that, absolutely not. Because at that point, the city can run itself and is going to attract what it's going to attract. And I'm not trying to throw salt on anybody. I like Kevin Carter, but it's easy to excel when you have benchmarks that were set the way he is. If you're telling me my bonus is based on how many conventions I go to in a year, then I'm gonna hit that by February. Guarantee that. Like, you tell me I've got to be at 6 or 7 conventions and I'm gonna bonus, I'll have my bonus by February, not based off of realized jobs. And that's not Kevin's fault. And I don't want to be an apologist for him, but at the same time, those things need to change. Like, what are we really doing to expand our tax base? That's what the job of the ADC. Bring in jobs, expand our tax base.
Yeah, it's to market your community.
Yeah.
Right. But to me, if you have good schools, safe communities, good infrastructure, whether it's hospitals, roads, sewer, water, and low taxes, business will flock here.
Ideally,
especially due to our location.
Yep. And that's
especially if you get Ports to Plains. The businesses are going to come.
Yep.
But they're not going to come if you have high crime, if prosecutors aren't prosecuting even small crime. If, the police can arrest, but the prosecutors have to prosecute. Everybody has to do their job. Right. And if everybody's doing a good job and you have an efficiently run community, businesses will come. You don't need to bribe them with money.
Right.
To me, if you have to give somebody a tax abatement, what does it tell you?
Right. And I do respect that part of it. I do.
But we have it.
But we have it.
So,
but we have it. So now it's a matter of how are we running it? And it was not run efficiently. It did not have any sort of guidelines or guardrails, systems, processes, anything like that. And we saw that just by somebody being able to call up and say, hey, release this money, and it was done.
Yeah.
Right. Under I can't imagine a circumstance where that should be okay. Yeah. And you bring up a great point. Like, our location, how are we not attracting these manufacturers? Like, why are they not picking us? St. Louis used to be called the gateway to the West. You could make an argument that Amarillo should be the gateway to the West. We've got I-40, we've got I-27.
Well, now everything's went to motorized vehicles. St. Louis was the gateway to the West because you had the Missouri and the Mississippi River converge there.
Absolutely.
That was your main transportation hub in the nation. Now it's highways. Right. So we're halfway between Denver and Dallas, Albuquerque and Oklahoma City.
Yep.
We're kind of the hub of the wheel.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, pardon the pun there.
Yeah, you're right though, and then you bring up a great point that if things are done right within the city, that they should flourish, and it's two sides of the same coin, right? If businesses are coming here and they're coming here responsibly, why are we giving somebody a 10-year 100% tax abatement or even an 8-year 100% tax abatement? They should be wanting to come here. We should be selling.
I think a legitimate business that wants to expand to this area, they don't ask for those things.
Yeah.
They don't expect them because it's not fair to the businesses that are already here, right?
Exactly.
That's pushing up the taxes on everybody else.
Absolutely. And Amazon is a great example of that. Whether somebody loves, hates, or has no opinion of Amazon, Amazon came in and brokered their own deal because they saw the value in being in Amarillo. And businesses that see that should be able to come in and do that. And we just gave them $2.5 million just because, Amazon brokered their own land deal. They were bringing in their own people. They were, procuring their own materials and bringing in their own contractors and things of that nature. And they were
I think it's because they wanted to make it look like they were doing something.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. My concern is about any time you have these quasi-government entities and they say they're for one thing, I'm always suspect because when you look at the people on the board, are they trying to bring in business? Or are they trying to protect their own business? And I think some of that goes on.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it at all.
So it could work against you.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why should have been okay that we were going in and looking at it. The citizens of the city deserved to have that looked at. When you're not having to follow any sort of game plan or systems or process, you can do pretty much whatever you want at the taxpayer's expense, and that's not okay.
Right. So do you have a website where people can get a hold of you?
I
Learn
do.
more about you?
Yeah, I do. It's Kertis for Amarillo. So my last name is spelled Kertis, and it's for Amarillo, so FOR. And it has all of my platforms laid out, has my position on each of them, has ideas for it. And I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, because again, I'm going to think outside the box. Just because I think of an idea doesn't mean I'm ready to enact on it, because when we start getting into it means it very well could be a bad idea. And I don't have enough pride to sit there and push my agenda through just because it's my agenda.
Yeah, but you want to bring things up so we can get the discussion
Absolutely.
going.
Absolutely.
And out of that discussion could come an even better idea.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to explain to the voters why they should choose you over any of your opponents?
I think that you get a heightened sense of transparency with me because of events in my past. I'm sure your voters and other people have seen the KMR report that's come out. I've never shied away from my responsibility and what happened in that. I have a video out explaining my position on it. KMR chopped and screwed a 21-minute interview up to really fit their narrative. So I would really encourage people to go on and see my statement and let them decide for themselves. Once is a mistake, twice is stupidity, and I'm not a stupid person. So regardless of my past mistakes, I can promise voters that those things won't happen again. And I'm willing to go to different levels of transparency with that, because I believe there needs to be government transparency. And if I didn't, I could have gotten all those records sealed and nobody would have ever known about it, right? I would have never gone on KMR. I wouldn't have had to. But I've always been open to conversations about what happened with that.
So what was that about? So the people that don't know.
Yeah, so I had a felony case in 2018 where I had asked for help from a church that I was working at. I was considered the fiduciary for that church. That help was granted to me, at least I thought it was. I did not cross T's, dot I's, get contracts and a paper trail in place because, frankly, other people who were getting help through the church didn't have to either. I was just happy to be getting the help. I went through monthly book checks from the treasurer. Nothing ever came up. When I left to take my job in corporate finance, they had a congregation member who was a former IRS auditor. He went through the books, didn't find anything that was out of the ordinary. But then all of a sudden budget time comes and there's a problem. I get a call that I'm being investigated for embezzlement. We went back and forth saying, no, I was offered the money. Like I was supposed to have it, everything that I just talked about. And they were adamant that they never had that agreement in place. I told them, I was like, look, if I'm not supposed to have it, then I'll pay it back. Like, it is what it is. So we had that deal in place, and because I was the fiduciary, I was being held responsible for it. I got it deferred adjudication. So the resolution of the case speaks for itself. They don't just hand out deals like that if they really thought that they had a solid case. But I'm not a stupid person. I'm not about to go head to head in a he said, she said case against a church in Potter County, Texas. And I wasn't going to shy away from my responsibility of it. Yes, the money hit my bank account because I thought it was supposed to. It went through payroll. I wasn't hiding it. But at that point, they offered me the 2 years. I have no conviction. The case and the charges were dismissed ultimately.
Well, that should be the end of it then.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But and it's funny that KMR is the only news station that's coming after me for it. And one of the, I guess he was an original board member of Amarillo Matters, is coming after me really hard on Facebook. I've seen the comments. He's cherry picking language within a standard plea agreement. And again, I've never I've never gone away from my responsibility of it. I messed up. And I can promise that won't ever happen again. Because even if it's something as little as $5, I'm like, hey, no, like, can we get it in an email? Can we get it in a text? Just something, so that way I can say, no, like it's supposed to be this way. Because I'm not going to get burned again. I lost my job with Edward Jones because of it. And again, like, I look through the positive through God. Like, God wanted me in a different direction, and I thank him every day for bringing me to this place. Because if anything, I can praise the fact that I'm a case of his redemption and his grace, because he didn't have to save me from that, and he did every day. And I get to make a difference in the community because I've started doing things that I don't think I ever would have done. I help teach a class to people who are coming back in from prison. I teach them life lessons and financial responsibility, and I've taught over 40 of them the past 6 years, and I haven't had a single one go back into the system. And I'm not saying it's all because of me, but it plays a part, and I'm really proud of the fact that that program is in place, that I'm part of it, and that we're keeping people from going back to prison through what we teach.
Yeah. So they're exercising some character assassination on you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
Yeah, but
sad that people do that.
Yeah.
But why don't we stick to the issues and focus on how to benefit the community?
Yeah. And I wish we could. And I think that's a big reason that it's come after me, right? Because I am a legitimate threat to that agenda. I'm not I'll tell people right now, I can't be bought by anybody. I don't care if it's Alex Fairley. I don't care if it's Amarillo Matters. The Wares come at me. I don't care. I've been bought by one person, and that's by the blood of Jesus Christ. There's nothing in this world that could ever, like, I've been to the lowest of lows. I know what it's like to have nothing, but I know what it's also like to have a lot and have it stripped away. I cannot be bought. If someone wants to support me, it's going to be because they believe in what I can do and the issues that I want to support. It's not going to be because you're going to hand me a $10,000, $20,000 check and expect me to answer the phone and vote the way you want me to vote. I'll hand you the check back every day.
That's the problem with the way our political system's set up. I don't think you need that much money to run for office. That's why we do what we do, is to try to level the playing field. And to me, we need to get money out of it because it's corrupting and people don't even know they've been corrupted.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter which side it is.
Right.
It's all psychological.
100%.
And it shouldn't be about money.
It really shouldn't. When I knew that it was going to cost a little bit of money because signs and stuff aren't free.
Right.
But when someone told me it cost $30,000 to $50,000 to run for a city office, that blew my mind. I was like, why do we need that much money to run for a city office where we get paid $10 a meeting? Like, what else is in it? And and please hear me, I'm not saying that anybody in council is on the other side of that, getting something out of it. But it's like, why do we need that much to run for a city place where even if we weren't donating it to the 100 Club, where we get $20 a month to do this?
We'll just get you some flyers made and go knock on the doors of the people that voted in the last city election, and that's just as effective than all their money.
Yeah,
probably
absolutely.
more. You need to know the voter.
Yeah,
go get to know them.
Yes, and we do have a campaign strategy out to where that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be boots on the ground. I have a lot of people in my corner, and I'm forever grateful for them, even through the KMR sabotage scene that's going on right now. I have a lot of people in my corner. I'm grateful for that. And they believe in me. They know who I am. They know my character. And that speaks more than anything I could ever say, is the people who believe in me. And I hope that they hear this, and I hope that they know how grateful I am for them.
Well, it takes a lot of courage to stand up and to step out and run for public office. So we appreciate all of you that are doing that.
Yes, thank you.
That should mean a lot to the people. I'm impressed with anybody willing to take that on.
Yes, sir.
Because you know people are going to try to assassinate your character. So good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you, sir.
And it's KertisForAmarillo.com.
Yes, sir. KertisFor.
KertisFor Amarillo.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, Lief. Appreciate you coming by, and good luck out there.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. I appreciate you.